Bloodstained Lane, aka the Ozone Park Republican, here to talk about last night's StrikeForce Heavy Artillery card that took place in St. Louis, Missouri last night. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the main event between the Demolition Man, Alistair Overeem, and Brett Rogers. This was Alistair Overeem's first defense since TKO and Paul Bontello 2.5 years ago. And this was his long-awaited debut into the United States. And, you know, going into the fight, a lot of people said it was 50-50. Brett Rogers was going to knock him out, this and that. I had no doubt in my mind that Overeem was going to win this fight. He's a K1 level striker, excellent grappler, won the 2006 European Abu Dhabi. You know, he has a wicked guillotine, good top control. I just felt he was better than Brett Rogers in every category. I felt Brett Rogers' only chance was to land a haymaker shot. And, you know, Overeem's been in there with the best strikers in the world. Bada Hari, Peter Oz, Remy Miljansky. I just felt like Brett had no chance in this fight. But going into the fight, I mean, like, you never know in MMA. The fight starts up, you know, Overeem, they're measuring each other out. To me, it seems like Brett Rogers was kind of intimidated. He was backing up, very timid. You know, Overeem was stalking, you know, landed a couple inside leg kicks, couple leg kicks. The most surprising thing is when they clinched up, Overeem threw Brett Rogers like he was 120 pounds. Like he was Miguel Torres. Just flung him across the fucking cage. It was just unreal to watch. Then Overeem just jumped on top of him, and that was it. Great top control, knees to the body, peppered him with shots. Then he just smelled blood, went for the kill, and knocked out Brett Rogers. You know, quick work. Big John McCarthy steps in. You know, it was a truly impressive performance from Alistair Overeem. You know, you got all these fucking internet twerps on Sherdog and all these other MMA forums that say Alistair's on the juice. You know, he's on steroids. I'm sorry. I don't believe that fucking shit. Horse meat all the way. It's the new way of getting big. Alistair, you know, must know something that we don't know because it's obviously working for him. Horse meat all day. After seeing Alistair's performance last night, I tell you the truth, I have no doubt in my mind he would tear up the UFC heavyweight division. I mean, Alistair's definitely the best striker as an MMA heavyweight. He's got to be the strongest guy other than Brock Lesnar. It's between him, Brock, or Colin. His athleticism's through the roof. I mean, I tell you the truth, I can see him just tearing up the UFC heavyweight division. I tell you the truth, I think if he was to fight Brock Lesnar, I think he would beat Brock. I think he would smash Brock Lesnar. I think he's strength for strength. He can hang with Brock. I think Brock would have a hard time getting Alistair down. I think if Brock was to shoot in, he'd probably eat a knee from Alistair, put him down on his back. I tell you the truth, I can see really Alistair Overeem being the UFC heavyweight champion. Let's see what happens. You know, obviously there's other business he has to take care of, so let's see what happens. Everybody in the MMA community knows what that other business is. It's the greatest fighter in MMA history, Fedor Emelianenko. And to me, this is my dream fight in the heavyweight division. It's not Fedor versus Brock. It's not Fedor versus Kane. It's Fedor versus Overeem. I think this is a fight that needs to happen. It should happen. You know, I'm a huge fan of both guys. I hate when two of my favorite fighters fight, but it has to happen. I think this is Fedor's toughest fight to date. You know, K1 level striker, strong as an ox, great athleticism. I mean, Fedor obviously has to get past Fabricio Verdun, which I think he would, which I think he will. And that's next up, Fedor versus Overeem. I'm not going to go into a breakdown of all the other fights that were on the card. Just a couple quick notes. Bigfoot Silva looked really good against AA, you know, which really surprised me. He outboxed AA on the feet. You know, Arlovsky looked a little rusty. He looked a little timid. One thing about Arlovsky I will give him credit to, a lot of people say he has a really suspect chin. He took some big blows from Bigfoot last night, and he lasted. You know, this is 3 fights in a row for Arlovsky. He's on a really bad downward spiral. I don't know what's next for him. Maybe a rematch against Brett Rogers. I don't know. As for Bigfoot Silva, big win last night. He got to be next in line. Maybe after Fedor versus Overeem, he's next up. Jacare versus Joey Villasenor. I truly believe that Jacare is the next big thing at 185. Probably arguably a top 3 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy in the world. Joey Villasenor was tough as nails yesterday. I give him credit for that. He survived a lot of submissions, had good scrambles. Jacare, I think, kind of wore himself out in the first round, but I think he's the next big thing in the 185 division. Probably the heir apparent to Jake Shields' title. I do think Jake Shields is going to leave for the UFC. Roger Gracie versus Kevin Randleman. Big Kevin Randleman fan. It's sad to see. He's obviously not even a tenth of the fighter he used to be. I really think it's time for Kevin to hang him up. Sad to say, but you know, he doesn't have it anymore. Roger Gracie actually really impressed me last night. He had some pretty decent boxing. He had a long jab. Kept Kevin Randleman at bay. Even had a nice knee from the clinch that hurt Randleman. Haven't seen a Gracie with any kind of stand-up. He was the first I've ever seen. And then obviously he tapped him out with a rear naked choke. You know, Hodges considered the best BJJ guy on the planet. He showed it last night. Then you had Antoine Britt versus Rafael Fajal. Fajal survived a few heavy punches from Britt. Then he just, you know, caught him with a couple shots, hit him with a flurry against the cage, and put Britt down. I would say Fajal is probably next in line for a shot at King Mo's title. Good showing by Fajal. Another thing I want to touch on briefly is the cancellation of Shine Fights 3, an event that I actually ordered on pay-per-view. And I must say I was completely disgusted by the turn of events last night. Don King, that low-life, slimy, snaky piece of shit who should be in jail for the rest of his life, you know, for murdering 2 people in the 60s, you know, instead of ripping boxes off and destroying MMA shows. He had some court injunction to stop the fight because he said Ricardo Mayorga had an exclusive contract to fight for him. Even though boxing and MMA is completely 2 different sports. I don't know how the North Carolina State Athletic Commission could fuck that up. They could go fuck themselves. Anyways, what happened was they canceled they canceled the Mayorga fight against Din Thomas, which I was really looking forward to, and they promoted Ninja versus David Heath to the main event. So I said, all right, you know, even though I wanted to see the Mayorga fight, you know, the card was really stacked. You had Crazy Horse versus Luis Azeredo. You had Kakariko fighting on that card. You had some really good fights on that card. You know, the debut of Braulio Estima, and you know, Murillo Ninja who were fighting, and the whole card got canceled by the North Carolina State Athletic Commission. You know, I just want to say fuck them, fuck Don King. And Shine Fights needs to pay their fighters. All the fighters made weight. They trained. They did what they had to do. This was an embarrassment last night. They should pay the fighters. Do the right thing, Shine Fights. In closing, I just want to say today we received the sad news that rock and roll legend and a personal hero of mine and a Team Takeover, huge inspiration, Ronnie James Dio, has passed today due to stomach cancer. You know, Ronnie James Dio is probably my favorite rock and roll guy, and you know, he's a huge inspiration to us in Team Takeover. We used to listen to him during our workouts, and we were a big fan. Rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio.